So we're going to do a little review of graphs of proportional relationships because you will have your quiz tomorrow, which will be SLT 4 through 6. So this will be a review. After this, you'll continue the module, which will take you through 2 more sets of online practice. Your homework tonight is the last page of your capture sheet, which does say XL on it, and it's a review for the quiz. To start off, here's the question that we're going to do together. Your roof is leaking. Below shows a graph of the volume of water in gallons collected. So it might be a little bit difficult to see on your papers, but this y-axis is your volume of water in gallons. And then the x-axis over here is time in minutes, okay? So these are the 4 questions that we will be answering. So here we go. What is the constant of proportionality? So anytime you want to find the constant of proportionality, you just have to highlight any point. And you want to be careful. This here would not be a good point to use because you would have to guess where that is. So instead of guessing, we try and use a good point that happens to be on exact values. So this would be one that's easy to use, and this one would also be one that's good to use. And here's the last one on the graph that would be good to use. And all you need to do is actually label the point. Now, I just want to remind you that down here is the x-axis, and going up towards the sky is your y-axis. And when we label our points, we are going to label them x comma y. So x comma y. So here we go. I have 2 minutes, and I'm going to put labels just to make sure we don't get confused for every 5 gallons. So in 2 minutes, 5 gallons were collected is what this actually says if you were asked, what does the point mean? Now, what is the constant of proportionality? We remember from Friday that we use the constant K always for the constant of proportionality, and the formula is always y divided by x. And so if you take a point and you were to label them x and y, then you just put the y value on top, which is the numerator, and the x value in the denominator, which is the bottom of the fraction. You can change that over to a decimal value if it's exact, and it is exactly 2.5. So the constant of proportionality, this is the value, the numerical value. If you wanted to put in the units, it would be 2.5 gallons per minute, which is the same as the unit rate. Okay? The second question that we're going to answer is writing the equation. The equation always looks the same, and so your equation always has y equal to k times x, where k is the constant of proportionality. So using part A, the equation looks like y is equal to the constant of proportionality that we found was 2.5. And then we just put the x back. Okay? So that's our equation. And we're actually going to use our equation to answer the last 2 questions. So I'm going to write the equation here for us. I'm going to remind us that x is time in minutes and y is volume in gallons. So if we collect 100 gallons of water, so gallons always goes on the y variable, and x is our minutes. So if we have 100 gallons, that means we'd have to put 100 here equals 2.5 times x. So we need to figure out this x value, and because we have to work backwards, so 2.5 times some number has to give me 100. So if we're working backwards, that's when we're going to use our inverse operations. So the inverse of multiplying, which is what's happening over here in red, the inverse of multiplying is dividing. And so we will do 100 divided by 2.5 to get our x value. And 100 divided by 2.5 gives us 40. So what is the answer? 40 minutes have passed. Okay, so your best friend says he'll be over in 12 minutes to help you. So you always want to go back and start with the equation if they're asking to predict. So we're trying to predict after 12 minutes how much water will be collected. So we'll start with y is equal to 2.5 times x. And then we're going to place the value. So given 2.5 times x, remember y was our gallons, x's are our minutes, and this says 12 minutes. So if it says 12 minutes, I want to place the minutes in my x variable. And so I'm going to come over here. Y is equal to 2.5 times 12. And then we end up with y is equal to 30. And remember, y is gallons, and so we'll write 30 gallons. If I asked for a numerical answer, then the numerical value is 30. So this is pretty much a good review of SLT6. Remember, we know that this graph is proportional because it goes through the origin, which is the point 0, 0. We also know that because it's linear. So those are the two rules that we have to make a graph be proportional. All right, so now you should be able to do the Khan Academy practice. It's 7 questions, and it doesn't matter if you get any incorrect. I just want to know your score based on how you're doing. So even if you don't get all of them correct, I want an honest score just to make sure that I know how you are doing. You get credit for the work regardless of how many you get correct. Okay? All right, so good luck on your next practice set.